You know, as an add-on to True Tips 14, where I talk about resilience, I wanted to take a deeper dive into a couple pieces of it. And first of all, let me tell you, this is a special topic for me. It's special because having gone through startup and having lived through a few life events, I recognize how important it is to be able to persevere. And in a very modern word, oftentimes you'll hear now talk about resilience, and resilience is about that perseverance. It's a special topic that I've actually presented twice to startup groups, and I'm really excited about going to State Human Resources Conference of Wisconsin to talk about this October. In the next few minutes, I'd like to not necessarily go through what I did in True Tips 14. If you're interested in reading that, you can go on my website, thetruegroup.com, and look under resources, and you can read about it there. But I want to talk a little bit more about leading resilience. Before I get into that, let me talk about a couple core beliefs and just one bit of key information that I think is important to remember about resilience. First core belief is that resilience is a choice, and it's something that people have to make. Now, there's probably leaders out there who might say, well, if it's a choice, then how can I lead it? We're going to talk about that in just a second. The second thing I have is, as I think about resilience, I like to put it into a formula to have a good conversation around it. And that formula is right here. Hope is greater than fear, plus anger, plus despair, plus frustration, plus worry, plus hunger, plus mistrust, plus you fill in the blank. And I like to put that formula in front of people because it gives something that we can visualize. Again, think of our sources for hope. So when we hit a tough spot, that maybe it's a job loss. Fear goes up, you worry about frustration about not finding another job. What is it that's going to make you hopeful? That's a big question, and I'm going to let that one dangle out there. And finally, understanding what are the most stressful life events. So if you think about resilience and think about people who built it or think about it who are at risk for or going to really be tested, here's the list of the 3 most stressful life events. Number 1 being the death of a loved one. Second one being divorce. Third being job loss. Let's spend the next couple minutes talking about leadership and resilience. And to talk about what leading resilience actually looks like, I want to walk you real quickly through a military program that's out there, and they're spending, I think, $155 million on a program to help soldiers become more resilient. And here are the 5 pieces of their program. The first being assessment, second being learning, third being building mental toughness, fourth being building on the strengths of individuals, and finally helping people to talk about building strong relationships. We don't have time to go through all 5 of these, but the key being this, is that they recognize that the leaders have to be good at this before you can expect the rest of the organization to be good at it. And these are the pieces they focus on. The key being that if you take a leader through a process is to assess kind of where are they at, give them some skills in terms of how to do it, give them some peer support, talk to them about building relationships and the habits around that, that builds empathy and an understanding and an expertise that they can then pass on to their folks. So when you live it, through it you learn it, and then through it people kind of watch you, and then when you start talking to them about it, they're going to point to parts of your life or changes you've made, and they're going to follow you. So that's one of the key parts of this whole leading resilience idea. The second thing is, and this is really for everybody, but specific to leaders, is remember people are watching you. And resilience is about certain habits like exercise, certain habits like watching what you eat. A lot of times we have these wellness initiatives at companies and people think, oh, this is all great. The reason it's so great is everyone knows that the future is uncertain. You're going to hit some spots. These are strategies or things that you know that you do well that'll help you get through those, help you be resilient. Another habit is in and around the time you spend with friends. Do you meet as a team just for lunch to talk amongst an executive leadership team? So those are 2 ways in which leading resilience can be done and what it looks like, and a couple of reasons to why it's important. finally, let me go back to this formula and kind of wrap it up. How do you use this formula to make decisions? I go to a story of Sue as an executive assistant. She had went through a corporate downsizing where her boss had moved jobs, and we were talking about change management and how sometimes it's hard to do it well. And one of the things she said, you know, Scott, when this happened to me, I sat there for almost 4 weeks, and no one told me who my new boss was. No one even told me what the plan was, and I sat there and I was afraid. Now everything worked out for her, and her new boss came along, but I just think of the cost. In that 4 weeks, she lived through it and she managed through it, but as leaders, if we really look at this formula and think about how we lead to be resilient, ask yourself the question when you input a change is, when I do this change, or when I make this decision, or when I announce this, what's the formula looking like for the people that are facing me? And what can I do as a leader, whether it's what I communicate, what I say, what they see me doing, to help take away from what's on the right side and add to what's on the left side? And that's hope. It's been great talking to you about resilience. Again, I'm looking forward this fall to talking about it in Wisconsin. Take a look at trU Tips 14. If you have any questions about this, because this is a big topic, feel free to email me. Thank you.